This is Dumbed Down Life number 132.
I hear
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Lance. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. How are things with you?
Well, as they say on the telly, winter is coming.
It is, isn't it?
It's an inevitable thing, and yet it still surprises me every year when suddenly, I'm sure it was only last week that we were out, in the pub gardens and enjoying the light evenings, and suddenly it's now 5:30, and it's getting dark and it's cold, and
Has it been raining much today?
it is, as we speak, raining outside my window. Not happy.
We had a sort of fairly non-eventful weekend, really, didn't we? We talked last show about coming down to do the Devil's Punch Bowl.
Yep.
Well, I came down. We didn't do the Devil's Punch Bowl, but I came down.
a walk around the block was sufficient. But the weather has turned strictly non-summer.
Yeah.
And we weren't recording around this last winter, but last winter for us down in South. In South, that's a mixture of using a northern accent for a southerner. Yeah, for us down in
down
the
south.
No, not South London. I mean, like the royal counties.
Yeah, we were down south.
My family and I, yes, we were drowned basically.
Yeah, you had quite a lot of flooding last year, didn't you? I remember some of the pictures you posted.
And with a lot of the Thames flooding and problems like that, a lot of the the little bits that flood into the Thames also flooded. Caused me a lot of hassle over winter. So now the slightest bit of rain, and I'm like, oh, please don't burst your banks.
Talking about water and troubles.
Oh dear.
Did you watch any of the Grand Prix of the weekend? Obviously not live because I was there and you didn't. But have you seen any of it since?
I've seen the incident in question. Have you seen the incident in question?
Yeah.
Ouch.
I mean, I can't remember the guy's name. This is really embarrassing.
That is rather embarrassing, yes.
Well, I want to talk about a different side of Formula One, and I haven't got that particular story up.
Okay.
But Bianchi.
Yes.
All I've seen on the internet is the part where he does come off the track. I didn't see the track conditions, but I understand it was really rather wet.
Yeah.
But I've always thought these cars are fairly flimsy. I know they're fairly well beat. They've got crumple zones and stuff, but they're only carbon fibre, and carbon fibre under impact tends to sort of just destroy itself, doesn't it? Did you see how much the crane moved?
Yeah. It lifted the back of the crane.
That amazed me.
Well, the thing is that whether it's fragile or not, the cars are aerodynamic.
Well, yeah.
So you're suddenly wedging a 100-mile-an-hour plus wedge under the back of a lorry, under the back of the fork truck, and it just lifts it up.
Yeah. I was quite amazed how much, because I mean, those trucks are not sort of an insubstantial vehicle, are they? They're fairly hefty things, but it just pushed it out the way, didn't it? Pushed it up into the air.
Once again, the problem has shown that the dangerous situation here is the bit of the driver that sticks out of the car.
Yeah.
It happened to Senna. It happened a couple of years ago with the spring coming off the front of the car for Massa.
Yep.
And again here, the car itself, it is not hasn't caused a problem. It's the fact that the driver's head is showing above the level of the cockpit is what's caused the problem.
But I mean, you look at the cars now, and they've raised the sidewalls, so you really do only see the top of the driver's head, and you've got the air intake that sits above it. So should they go upside down, as we saw on the Formula E, the head is protected because
Yep.
the air intake sits that much higher. I mean, there's at least a head's height above the driver's helmet, so it sort of doesn't touch their head. They're pretty well strapped in, but of course that doesn't help you when you're going under something where.
Well, the cars are very well designed, but within the you can't wrap the whole thing in bubble wrap and make them dry slowly. There are limits, but they are very well designed with what's supposed to be around the track and what they're going to hit.
Expected accidents, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're designed very well.
I mean, this is why they dropped the nose of the cars this season to stop side impacts. The car sort of the nose of the car sort of being above the height and get crashing into the driver, and that's why they dropped the nose.
I hadn't seen.
Yeah, I mean, is it this year or was it last year where you had that god awful step in the front nose, and that was why they did it.
Right.
To sort of protect on side impacts and that kind of thing. So, yeah, the cars are kind of designed to
either come into collision with each other or to come into collision with the barriers after the car's been slowed down over the gravel. And
they're just not designed to sort of have an accident with something that's actually sort of at head height.
I've read some articles which criticise the rulings and of the FIA in that the flags, the green flags, are able to come out once the car is clear of the danger zone. And so the car was up and it had been moved from where it was. Therefore, technically, it was clear of the danger zone.
However, the crane that was lifting the car up
wasn't. Yes.
Yeah. That's the
The video does show the green flags coming out. However, again, it's a. I'm stealing the wording here from some of the other things that I've seen online. It was the perfect storm for incidents. When you crash into a point where the flag is actually referring to the next section of track.
Yeah.
So although the guy's standing there waving a green flag, he's referring to the fact
just like traffic lights, you're okay.
You can get past me and you're okay.
Yeah.
So it was the previous flag, which you don't see in at least not in the videos that I've seen.
Yeah.
It was the previous flag that was still yellow that was saying there's potential troubles down here.
Plus, under normal conditions, they were under safety car conditions. So under normal,
I don't think they were.
I think they were at the time. I'm not sure.
I don't think they were, because watching that video, I saw SC with the double yellows appear after, because the yellow was waving as they were clearing the first incident out of the way. Then the green started waving as the fork truck was taking the car off. Then there was the second impact into the fork truck, and the green carried on waving. And then information came from that accident straight up.
That then brought the safety car. Right,
okay. The double yellows.
Could have been mistaken there then.
And I would guess, again, I didn't really watch the race. I only heard the news about it afterwards. But it wasn't that long after the double yellows that they then red flagged the race and stopped it early.
You're listening to Dumbed Down Life.
A piece of news that kind of got missed because of all the drama that happened with Bianchi. I only found out today that Fernando Alonso is leaving Ferrari.
Yes.
Being replaced by Sebastian Vettel.
Now, I didn't know the Vettel bit, but I knew that the other driver was leaving. And I knew that Vettel was leaving Red Bull, but didn't know where he was going, was the last I heard. But if he's going to Ferrari, that could be interesting.
Could be interesting, couldn't it? So Alonso's going back to McLaren.
Right.
Where he didn't have a particularly good time. But I think that was slightly more to do with the fact that they had some young upstart come along and sort of taking some of the shine away from Alonso. Hamilton.
I thought he was going to say that,
yeah. He sort of had a bit of a bad time there, and then left to go to Ferrari. But so he's going back, which I suspect is going to push Jenson Button out of a job.
Or out of that team. So who's in that team now? It's
But in
Button
McLaren,
and-
it's Button and... Do you know? I don't know.
Because you're saying it's going to push Button out of a job. Is
Well,
it, or
I think it
push
will,
Button
because I think the other guy is quite a young, sort of up-and-coming driver. And Button's... Oh, he's getting on a bit for a Formula One driver, I guess. But, yeah, he's been around for a while, so I suspect he'll be moving on. Alonso will go to McLaren. Vettel will go to Ferrari. And one of the Toro Rosso drivers is coming up to Red Bull.
Ah.
So, yeah, it's just a bit of an interesting shift around already, isn't it?
And how many, if any of these, or will anybody be jumping ship and coming into Formula E? That's the important thing.
Well, I mean, it's possible. I mean, could if Button does find himself out of a job, could he then be moving over next season to Formula E?
I think that would be really nice to see. Seeing him in the Formula E and bringing some other names across, because it needs some well-known names to start with, until again the younger name that people come in and make names for themselves. But yeah, this is all moving around, isn't it? And that was Eddie Bingo with Everything I Touch Is Gold. I thought that I was going to have nothing to talk about.
We do every week.
I really thought I was going to have nothing to talk about, and I was driving home. I was thinking, what sort of subjects can we cover? And got up to the turning into where I live, and 3 cars in front of me, the guy turned in and pulled into a parking space. Then the car coming the opposite direction pulled across our lane, nose to nose with the car that had just pulled into the parking space, and proceeded to get out and scream at the guy who had just pulled into, quotes, her parking space.
Right.
The guy in front of me then pulled out to go around the car that was now blocked by the car that had pulled across. Are you following this?
You just...
And another car coming up the road stopped, not letting that guy go on the wrong side of the road to go round the woman who had cut across.
So this is not in the road to your... This is not your road
This is
you
outside
actually live
Co-op.
on. Right, yeah, I know what you mean now. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Sorry, that doesn't mean much to the listeners, but yeah.
I can now picture what's going on.
It's not a big wide road, but as we've got it now, we've got 2 cars side by side facing down the road. Mm-hmm. We've got a car facing up the road that's trying to cut into a parking space that now there's a car parked in,
Yeah.
and another car coming up the road who's not going to let this. And everybody got out, and everybody is waving fists at each other, and all the while they're doing this, more and more traffic is building up behind me, behind the car coming the other way. I hadn't pulled forward into the space that the car in front of me had left. Yeah?
Yeah.
So he pulled out, tried to go round, and then got blocked. So if I'd have pulled forward, the traffic behind me had pulled forward, it would have been a bit of a mess. But there's people tooting, there's anger and waving fists and shouting and screaming. And eventually the guy who was on the wrong side of the road pulled back into the space that he was coming from. The traffic came up the road, and then we all went around the 2 that were still insisting on sitting in the curb and arguing with each other over who rightfully owns this parking space.
Now, I take it this parking space is just a parking space on
It's
a public
just
road
a
and nobody owns
dotted
it.
parking space on the road that nobody owns, and I'm tempted to say that if there's a parking space on your side of the road that you pull into, regardless of how long the person coming up the road has been waiting to cross into that parking space, tough.
Yeah.
That person coming up the road should then go, okay, the parking space is gone, I'll find somewhere else, move along.
Yes.
But they're probably down there now still arguing over who this parking space belongs to. And it's just crazy how people get so wound up about driving.
Well, you see, outside my house, you've been to my house, just at the end of my driveway, there's a space running along our hedgeway, isn't there?
Yep.
And I often park there over the evenings because my housemate works nights.
Yep.
So rather than him coming excuse me just a sec, rather than me parking on our driveway when I get home from work, and then him at 3 o'clock in the morning when he comes home parking behind me, then when I get up in the morning at 6 o'clock, have to move his car out, get my car out, his car. I just leave my car outside on the road.
Yep.
It's just easier, and I'm not the best driver in the world, and I've punctured 3 tyres so far reversing in and out of my driveway.
Ouch.
So yeah, I tend not to use our driveway very much.
Can't you just take those pillars out and pretend they were never
I
there?
wish I could, or finish building the bloody things so they're there,
So
you can see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that's by the by. So I quite often park on outside our hedge. And I do get quite wound up when people park there and I can't park there. But it's sort of a fleeting annoyance because at the end of the day, it's a public road. I don't own that piece of pavement.
Yep.
It's nothing to do with me. It's on the public road. Anybody's quite entitled to park there. It just frustrates me because it inconveniences me.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't sort of stand there and wait for him to come back and sort of start waving a finger. What the hell do you think you're doing, or anything like that? It's an annoyance, and but I certainly wouldn't get pavement rage or parking rage or anything like that. But people do. People get so stressed out when driving.
Yeah, and it's just not worth it. And these are dangerous devices that we're left in charge of, to then be behind the wheel and angry. And that woman, I want to resist saying that woman or that man or this BMW driver or that Mercedes driver.
That driver.
The driver that cut across the road to try and make a point to the other driver who had parked in the space that belonged to the other driver.
Yeah.
That was the pin that made everything go wrong.
Yeah.
And then there was just no getting around the fact that she'd done that had been done.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had occasions where you're driving up the motorway, and I think I was going over to Hunstanton sometime in the summer, and I'm driving along on an A road. It's the A1M, I think it was actually. So it's 3-lane road. I'm driving along quite happily, and this guy comes down the slip road, and I've got cruise control on. I'm staying at a constant speed, and he speeds up to come in front of me, then changes his mind and hits the brakes.
Yeah,
to come
stays
in,
level speed.
Stays level speed with me. I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? I couldn't pull out because there's something overtaking me.
Yep.
So in the end, he threw on his anchors and then pulled up behind me, proceeded then to fly out into the middle lane, come up alongside me, and sort of mimed sideswiping me. He actually turned his steering wheel and sort of came close to me. Didn't hit me or anything, but it was just like, and you could see the rage in his eyes, so to speak. But it's like, dude, you're in a 2-ton box of metal that's quite a serious weapon if you wanted to use it as such. And you've just sort of simulated sideswiping me. If anything had gone wrong then, you'd have taken both of us out. I'd got my daughter in the back of the car as well.
The thing is,
there's no consideration and no concept of just how dangerous the thing that you're sitting in can be.
Yeah. The thing is, with slip roads like that, the idea is that it's down to the person joining the traffic to decide whether they can get in front of you or behind you, assuming that you stay at the speed you are.
Ordinarily, when I'm coming up to a slip road, I've gotten into the habit of pulling out into the middle lane and just leaving everybody to it. You get past a slip road, then you come back into the inside lane. It's just simpler. But on that occasion, I couldn't do it because there was something overtaking me.
Yep.
It's
he was
not
going
up
to you to slow down to let them come in.
And you watch him coming down. He's going faster than I am. He's going to get in front of me. Fine, let him go.
Yep.
And then he changed his mind. So I'm like,
well,
what's a guy to do?
We did mention this the other day, didn't we, about the hesitance. Yeah. Had he carried on, he'd have been fine. But he's hesitated, and that's what's got him into trouble.
Yeah.
And this is what we were saying
for
those of you who weren't there at the time when we were having this conversation. This is what we were saying about a lot of motorbike accidents.
Had the guy that pulled out on me, had he carried on pulling out, I'd have missed him. Yeah. But he saw me, panic, threw on the brakes, and now he's sitting straight across the lane that I'm riding down. So I had no option but to ride into him.
Hi, this is Scott Segler, author of the novels Infected and Contagious, and you are listening to Dumbed Down Life.
So we're talking about bad weather, we're talking about Formula One accidents, and we're talking about car accidents on the road. It's been a jolly show, hasn't it?
Yeah. I have actually got one more thing to talk about.
Is it a little bit more upbeat?
Yeah, well, I think so.
Go on then.
Something slightly more interesting anyway, surely. The pair of us on Sunday watched the first episode of Gotham.
See, that was what I was thinking about just before the car cut in front of us. I thought, Gotham.
What did you think?
Um,
Now, this is going to be interesting because you're not a massive Batman fan. I'm guessing you're only really aware of Batman from what's been in the movies.
From what's been in the movies, I've certainly never seen the cartoons. Not the cartoons, the
Comics.
comics.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for.
And I
Certainly
get
never seen the
Batman
comics.
I get Batman Monthly as a comic. So
Yeah.
we've got somebody who knows quite a bit and somebody that knows a little bit. So
But
what
not
were your
knowing-
impressions?
Well, so taking it back to another similar program, I never watched Smallville.
Right. No.
Did you ever watch
I.
Smallville?
No,
Yeah.
I've caught episodes, but I
But
wouldn't say I watched.
Smallville's sort of based around Superman growing up, but you only just see Superman with his red cape. It's all a bit sort of soap opera-y, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of like Buffy with Superman in it.
And I thought that that's how Gotham was going to be.
Yeah.
As in, you'd go perhaps weeks without seeing any names or anything that you recognise. And what do they open with? Mr. and Mrs. Wayne getting killed in an alleyway. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I think even the most basic of Batman fans is going to know that story.
Yeah.
And of course, they're putting their own little twists on it and trying to tie the backstory to the Penguin into this as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got potential. It's got potential. I've not watched the second one yet.
No, neither have I.
But yeah, I think it's got some potential. A lot of what I like watching the superhero programs for is the crazy super strength superhero stuff. It is for watching Hulk grab Loki by the ankle and smashing him around a room.
Which, of
That's what
course,
I wanna
you're
watch.
not going to see in Batman because most of Batman's villains and Batman himself and the world that he is in aren't super powered.
Right, but you do see that Batman's ridiculous equipment,
Yes.
the Batmarang,
Yes.
the Batmobile, the Batcopter, the Batboat, the Bat-tricycle,
The back shark repellent.
Yeah, which is what I like to watch. I'm not sure that I want to watch a program where it's all about how Alfred treats Bruce Wayne as a young boy.
You see,
And
I think
yeah.
the focus is not going to be on Bruce Wayne.
Well,
I think the focus is going to be on Gotham.
Selena. Well, yeah, the title would suggest that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be much more based around Jim Gordon,
Yeah,
the corruption within the Gotham police,
yeah.
and the development of the villains as such. I'm sure you're going to check in every now and then with Bruce Wayne, but at the moment, I mean, he's only, a 9-10-year-old kid.
Yeah, yeah.
In the comics, it's quite a few years before he then disappears off around the world and trains to become Batman.
But
So
what I'm saying is that it changes the superhero genre into a police drama,
yes, I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
which
It's going to be CSI with weird villains.
CSI with weird villains, with weird villains whose names you recognise.
Yeah.
It's going to take me a few episodes to see whether I like that or not.
I'm intrigued. I wouldn't say I'm excited by it because, well, it's Batman, so hey, you know. But I'm intrigued as to how it's going to play out because Penguin, Catwoman, Riddler, Joker without the Batman is going to be a bit weird.
Yeah, but with
But I'm
Commissioner
interested
Gordon
to
being
see
the
how
one
they.
who,
Yeah.
I mean, there's only a certain amount of times that you can win the day without the bad guy becoming a bit of a joke.
And if you can win the day against these villains
Without
before
Batman.
Batman comes along, then what's the need for Batman?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I think it's going to be interesting, but I'm intrigued as to how they're going to pull it off and keep it interesting.
Keep it going, yeah.
Yeah.
And along the same lines, a couple of weeks ago, I went up to London to see the first 2 episodes of Star Wars Rebels.
Any good?
Yes.
Good. Well, that was a short
similar with you and Batman. Similar to you and Batman, I'm a bit of a Star Wars fan.
Yes.
And I like the different takes on the different sections of the Star Wars timeline.
Right.
Now, Star Wars Rebels is based after Revenge of the Sith and before A New Hope.
So the Clone Wars cartoon.
Yep.
Where was that? Was that between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith?
Exactly.
Right. Okay. So there's no crossover there, right?
There's no crossover there.
So this is the period where Luke and Leia are growing up from having been born at the end of Revenge of the Sith and before A New Hope. This is at 18 years, yeah.
This is 5 years before A New Hope.
Right. Okay.
So Luke and Leia would be teenagers.
13.
I really, really hope that they do not turn up in any of the episodes. That would be a bit of a killer.
Yes, absolutely.
Because,
Han Solo.
Or Han Solo. They've already had 3PO show up.
Oh, no.
Which I think is a little bit of a shame. But if you're telling the story of R2-D2 and C-3PO, which so far the other 6 films have done.
Well, you see, he kept changing his mind. When the first 3 films come out, and then he started with The Phantom Menace, he quite often said, it's the story of the droids, it's the story from their point of view. And then when Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith come out, and he's saying, it's always been Anakin's story, his sort of rise and fall. It's like, well, dude, make your mind up. What is it? So I mean, I personally would be happier if this cartoon had none of the principal cast involved.
Yeah.
It was just a completely separate story set in that world with different characters, and don't just fit them in because, wow, wouldn't it be cool to have Boba Fett show up?
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't, frankly.
But it's a cartoon. It is designed for kids. It's to get kids interested in Star Wars so that they'll go out and buy the same box sets as we bought over our lifetimes. And it's... I still like the way that the stories interpret different things, even though sort of the canon ends up being very tightly intertwined, more than is feasible, really.
Right.
That these characters all keep getting involved in the same sort of scrapes is ridiculous. But the stories themselves are quite nice, quite good,
and sort of. Animation and quality-wise, it's done in the same sort of style as the Clone Wars. Because it was very sort of, I want to say anime, but it wasn't quite. But
it's Well, I found something the other day that I'd forgotten all about. Do you remember Samurai Jack?
Yeah.
There was an entire Clone Wars cartoon done based on that style.
Right.
So there's been several sort of attempts at doing things in different styles. And one of the people who went to the viewing with me the other week said that it was very, very Disney-ish and very clear.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Well, yeah, but the Disney influence was shining through. The one of the main characters looks very similar to Aladdin.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That kind of Disney-ish. So yes, they've still got the same sort of 3D cartoon effect that they had from Clone Wars, the Clone Wars cartoons, but they've gone that little bit further and Disney-fied it a little bit.
Oh wow!
To the point where the stormtroopers are laughable. Clones in the Clone Wars cartoons were reasonable soldiers.
Yeah.
The stormtroopers in Star Wars Rebels are. It's almost as if it's a propaganda film, and they're purposefully making the stormtroopers look awful. But it's just that it's a kids' film, and you've got to make the bad guys look bad.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it works.
Do they look like stormtroopers, or do they look like the stormtroopers we know, or are they
Disneyfied?
But the uniform is the same, or are they variations on?
The trouble with something like the Stormtrooper is that if you make it anywhere close to what the original suit was, then it's going to be difficult to differentiate between that version and the film version, where nowadays I suspect that in the up and coming film there won't be that many people dressed in Stormtrooper costumes.
No,
they'll all be CGI.
I mean, I've read that a lot of the art from the new cartoon is based on the early drawings by Ralph McQuarrie. And I know the Stormtroopers that he drew are not dramatically, but different from the Stormtroopers that we saw in the original films.
No,
so I just wondered whether they.
No, the Stormtroopers in the cartoon are the same as the Stormtroopers that were in the film.
Know as Stormtroopers.
However, part of what Ralph McQuarrie drew were the sort of intermediaries. So you've got a Stormtrooper helmet. You've got a helmet that doesn't go with the Stormtrooper armor. That is more like the big grey helmets that the rebels wear in A New Hope, but they've got sort of a cut down version of the Stormtrooper mask inside them.
Oh, okay.
And that is that they use that as sort of the local police uniform.
Right. Yeah.
And that sort of thing was there. But one of the main characters, a character called Zeb, is based on the original designs for Chewbacca.
Oh, okay.
And one of the lines is that they're trying to smuggle Zeb onto an Imperial ship, and over the radio they say that they've got a Wookiee that they're going to hand over. The doors open, there stands Zeb, and the Stormtrooper says, "Well, that doesn't look like a Wookiee." And it's like, gotcha. Because, of course, it is what the original design was going to be. It's clever.
Yeah.
And that is showing now. So
is it showing in the UK yet?
Disney XD, I think it's showing on.
Which I'm guessing you need Sky to watch.
Pass. You need something to watch it, whether it's Sky, Virgin, or whatever. But yeah, Disney XD is the channel that it's now showing on.
You're listening to Dumbed Down Life.
So as long as the wind and the rain doesn't wash us away, we'll be back to record again sometime soon. Ta-ra!
Ta-ra!
You can call the Dumbed Down Life crew on 07092 274 759.
You can follow us on Twitter. Our account name is Dumbed Down Life.
The email address is ddl.podshow@gmail.com. The website address is www.dumbeddownlife.com.